It's a raccoon with a talk show slinging culture facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hi guys, I'm Beaton, and welcome back to more fun Trash Can Tidbits in VRChat. Last week I asked the question, which of these films was Yul Brynner's movie debut, The King and I or The Ten Commandments? The answer is The Ten Commandments. At the time filming started, Brynner had just been released from his contract from the Broadway version of The King and I, and he had begun an intense workout regimen for the role of Ramses. It was also during the making of The Ten Commandments that 20th Century Fox announced it had acquired the film rights to The King and I, and though other actors were briefly considered, it was clear that Brynner would be the perfect choice to reprise his Tony Award-winning role as the King. He went to work on The King and I as soon as he was finished filming on The Ten Commandments. If you notice, his muscular physique from the previous movie is still very much apparent, as he spends a lot of time in both movies with his shirt off. What's not to like about that, right? Now with that out of the way, let's get started with fact number 1. Did you know that 2 actors who were known for playing Tarzan died in the same year? The most famous of these actors, Johnny Weissmuller, who played the role in 12 films, died on January 20th, 1984 at the age of 79. At the same time his Tarzan films were being made, there were other films made featuring the character. One of these was Tarzan the Fearless, released in 1933, which starred another Olympic swimming champion, Larry Buster Crabb. Even though he played Tarzan only once, Crabb was also well known for playing space heroes Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. He died on April 23, 1984, at the age of 75. Both actors also starred alongside each other in the adventure film Swamp Fire in 1946. Fact 2. Did you know that Fergie was in a few Peanuts cartoons in the 80s? Before the Black Eyed Peas singer made it very big with her famous group and her debut album The Duchess, she made her acting debut at the age of 9 as Charlie Brown's sister Sally in 2 specials. It's Flash Beagle Charlie Brown and Snoopy's Getting Married Charlie Brown, where she was credited by her real name, Stacey Ferguson. She also played both Sally and Peppermint Patty in a few episodes of The Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show. Fact 3. Did you know that the movie The Bodyguard was originally written by screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan in the 1970s as a vehicle for Steve McQueen and Diana Ross? Before Kasdan helped to create the character of Indiana Jones by writing the screenplay to Raiders of the Lost Ark, he was an advertising employee who wrote a total of 8 scripts in 8 years. One of those projects was The Bodyguard, and it was proposed as a vehicle for actor Steve McQueen and singer Diana Ross, with inspiration from the Akira Kurosawa classic film Yojimbo, which actually means bodyguard in Japanese. The project fell through, but Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston starred in the film many years later. Costner even got his hair styled in a similar manner to McQueen as a tribute, and in the film, his character is a huge fan of the film Yojimbo. Fact 4. Did you know that Judy Hopps' real husband appears in Zootopia? In the movie, Judy was voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, who at the time was known for playing Snow White on the fantasy drama Once Upon a Time. Playing Prince Charming on that show was Josh Dallas, and just like their characters, they actually got married in real life. Dallas appears in the movie as a character called Frantic Pig, who alerts Judy when Duke Weaselton robs his store, and she immediately gives chase. Now, how cool is that? Fact 5. Did you know that there was a popular Superman radio show that introduced many of the traits we associate with the Superman character today? It was on radio that established Superman's ability to fly, the introduction of the Daily Planet newspaper, kryptonite, and even how Superman and Clark Kent are portrayed. Bud Collyer, the original voice actor chosen to play Superman, came up with the idea of using 2 different voices for the Man of Steel and his secret identity. He played Clark Kent using a higher, timid voice, and when he played Superman, he played it with a deeper baritone voice. This method also carried over to future portrayals, and it is even said to be the inspiration for how Batman is portrayed, using 2 different voices for the Dark Knight and Bruce Wayne. Fact 6. Going back to Tarzan for this next fact, did you know that Johnny Weissmuller isn't actually the first Tarzan of the sound era? That honor goes to Frank Merrill, a champion gymnast who played the Lord of the Jungle in 2 serials in the 1920s, Tarzan the Mighty and Tarzan the Tiger. The first film was silent, but the latter was released in 2 ways, one silent and the other with music, sound effects, and the first instance of Tarzan's jungle call. However, this version is very different from Weissmuller's, but Merrill did establish a lot of what makes the character popular today. He was the one who pioneered Tarzan's vine swinging and his amazing strength, and as a former gymnast, developed all these techniques that Weissmuller would use in his time as the character and influenced future actors. Fact 7. Did you know that there was an Aladdin video game released for the PlayStation? The game, Disney's Aladdin in Nazira's Revenge, was released in 2001, and it told the story of Nazira, Jafar's sorcerer sister, played by the great Jodie Benson, getting revenge for her brother by kidnapping Princess Jasmine and the Sultan in an attempt to bring Jafar back to life. It's up to Aladdin and the genie to save her. The game was a 3D platformer, and it featured the entire cast of the Aladdin series, although not Robin Williams as the genie. Instead, Dan Castellaneta took over. The game came out at the very end of the PlayStation's life cycle, and the PS2 era was in full swing. So despite good reviews, not many people know about this game, which is a shame. Fact 8. Did you know that the Nintendo Gamecube was capable of playing games in 3D, similar to the Nintendo 3DS? The console had an unused function where you could activate a 3D mode. Of course, at the time, glasses were needed. One game that is actually capable of this function was Luigi's Mansion, and the game still has this function to this day. The 3D function was ultimately disabled on the console because Nintendo had wanted to release a 3D TV peripheral, but since the technology hadn't been perfected yet and because it was too expensive, they abandoned the 3D altogether. It wouldn't be until the release of the Nintendo 3DS where Nintendo's glasses-free 3D was perfected, and the first Luigi's Mansion was later re-released for it, finally giving players a chance to experience the game the way it was intended. Fact 9. Did you know that Tom Selleck was the first choice to play Indiana Jones? George Lucas originally hesitated to use Harrison Ford because he had already starred in his previous films, American Graffiti and Star Wars. Selleck was the top choice and was screen-tested, but CBS then revealed that Selleck had a serious commitment to Magnum P.I., and plans to cast him were scrapped. Selleck actually went on to spoof Indiana Jones himself on an episode of Magnum in the episode Legend of the Lost Art. And he would also star in an Indiana Jones-type adventure movie called High Road to China, so it's nice that producers would finally give him the chance to experience what might have been. Fact 10. Did you know that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air really happened because Will Smith owed money to the IRS? Turns out, Smith was a big spender during his rap days, and the TV show was mainly created to repay his debts. As a result, for the first few seasons, his paychecks went right to the IRS. He didn't receive his own money for the series until about the 4th season, but it didn't stop the show from becoming a hit. What started as a method of merely working off outstanding debts turned into a cultural phenomenon and launched the career of one of America's greatest entertainers. And here's this week's trivia question. The horror icon Dracula has been a popular character in books, films, and video games. Whether you know it or not, the character does have historical origins. The book's author, Bram Stoker, got his inspiration for Dracula from a real historical figure. My question to you is, which 15th century historical ruler served as the inspiration for Count Dracula? And there we go for this week. I hope you've been enjoying me switching things up between making videos in Suit and in VRChat. If you'd like to see any particular worlds that I should explore in VRChat, please let me know. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for future video notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.